All right, we are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us. Our final segment with our guest this morning, Jennifer Thompson, involved with the Emanuel Samson case. I was just telling her during the break, there are many who feel that there may be, you're going to appeal the Samson case, and that's standard procedure, and you may have something. I know you haven't gone through all that yet, but another case, it's never ended yet, because there's still Jason Autry behind bars on the Holly Bobo case, and they're waiting for a transcript to be completed so that you can go over this for filing the appeal for Zach Adams, who was convicted as well. That's still in the works, right? And there are many people who think you may have some legitimate grounds on appeal there for the appellate court to look at.
I hope so.
I mean, and but you're not there yet. You have to wait to get the transcript. So it's going to be a while, but that case is not over. No, that case is not over. They're still planning on the appeal. Okay, yes. And you will appeal the Samson case as well? Yes. I mean, it would be malpractice to not appeal a case where somebody gets life in prison without the possibility of parole. Every attorney would appeal, even if you didn't have any great issues. Standard. It's standard attorney procedure, and to not do it would be ineffective assistance malpractice. So. Gotcha. That's right. Can I say something also about the church? Please do. I would just like to reach out to the church members of Burnett Chapel Church of Christ and their pastor, Joey Spann. Joey Spann is the nicest, kindest person. You know, he's been praying for Emanuel Samson this whole time. He's always said good, kind things about Emanuel Samson. I would imagine that man is just one of the nicest, kindest pastors you could ever want. And the church has been very kind and good. So those people are, you know, if you're looking for good Christians to point to, I think those people are good people. Well, you picked up on that when they took the stand, and you did not cross them. And what were you going to say with them? They're such fine individuals. Well, I never sensed any malice. Did you feel malice in the courtroom? No. I never did. No, and actually behind the scenes, several of them said, you know, there's no hard feelings. We know you have to do your job, and we know you're just trying to give him a good defense. So just good people, and that just reminds me what you told me during the break at one point. There was never really any protracted plea negotiations. The offer was life in prison without parole. Had there ever been any discussion, or when did you find, and why do you think they didn't seek the death penalty? Any idea? I don't. Well, one, I'm not sure they had really good aggravators for death penalty. He had no prior criminal history at all. The only aggravator they had was the risk to death of 2 or more people. And the thing is, death penalty cases, I know a lot of death penalty advocates like to say that they don't believe that it's more expensive, but it's way more expensive. There would have been another attorney and a lot more resources that would have been dedicated to that. Oh, you're right. And you are death penalty qualified. Yes. I know that. Yes. Well, I'm glad you said that about the church. I know you said that after the trial when you spoke to the media, and Nick and I both agreed with that. Amazing individuals at that church and the way they handled themselves. Let's go next to Chris. Hi, Chris. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking my call. Jennifer, I just want to thank you for coming on here, and you know, that is a tough case to take, and so you've been very gracious. I guess my question, and I apologize, I'm just now joining, so I don't know if this was touched on, but is there a reason why there was not an apology from Emanuel? And I understand maybe at some point during the trial he could have done that, but that's my one question. Number two, in your closing argument, you stated that one of the church members startled him. Do you regret that phrase? Would you have gone back and changed that? Because that, to me, was a little bit absurd for anyone on the jury to think that. And I appreciate you taking my call.
Good questions. And the second one especially, I'm glad he mentioned. But real quick, can you just, we did touch on it, why he didn't apologize? Right, so he tried to apologize in the guilt, innocence phase of the trial. I asked him, do you regret what happened? And the judge stopped him before he could answer the question. Gotcha. Okay, now the segment he's referring to, and many will remember this, is in your closing. You were making the reference that Minister Spann was moving away as Samson was coming toward him and threw a little metal money box or something as defense. Prayer box. And you were saying, yes, prayer box. And you were saying
said it was a startle reflex.
Kind of implying that Samson wouldn't have shot Spann, but he only did because he reacted because he threw the box at him. And so people took it, whether you meant it or not, like, Well, it's Span's fault he got shot because he threw it.
Oh, right. So I would never have meant to say it was his fault. It's nobody's fault there that they got shot. The victims are not to blame. I think what I was trying to say is, why did he get shot in the arm and the chest, whereas one person got shot in the wrist, the others all got shot in the legs. And I thought maybe it was because the arm was up and he shot up higher rather than down lower where he had shot everybody else.
Okay, and I know that was another strategy you were pointing out. He was stepping over people, he could have finished them off. But the problem with that everyone was pointing out is that's not what happened with Melanie Crow in the parking lot.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, maybe you want to imply he was just trying to wing people in the arm and leg and not finish him, but that's not what he did to Melanie Crow. And that's the biggie, and it's like, why would he change his attitude going in? Who knows? But, I mean, he shot and killed her, and there was just no question about it. He meant to do that.
Well, exactly what he was thinking, I don't know. People don't know. I mean,
his actions speak louder than words there, I would think. I mean, it would be one thing if it was just one shot, but I mean, he shot her 3 times in the back and once in the head. I mean, that's bad. And I know you sidestepped around that a bit, because what could you do with that?
What we heard, the proof at trial was that people heard 3 or 4 shots right away in a row. They thought it was firecrackers. Boom, 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 boom. So the theory that I was trying to present at trial is that all happened very quickly. Those shots to Melanie Crow, it wasn't drawn out. People said, again, they thought it was firecrackers. So that all happened very quickly. And then what happened next was slower.
I've got you. Let's squeeze in 1 or 2 more calls. We only have like 3 minutes left. But go ahead, Faye. Faye, are you there?
Yes, I am. I just wanted to thank Jennifer for representing Emanuel. He is one of the, I guess we would consider him one of the least of these, and I just appreciate your doing it and doing such a good job. But I wanted to ask you about the mental health issue. Do you think that, is there any hope that will get started in the General Assembly, or there's not that many people that want to be a champion of that kind of cause, are there?
No, and
He's right.
The thing is, it's hard because people that are facing those kind of trials, they've committed horrible crimes, and so no politician wants to come forward and say, let's be a champion for people that commit horrible crimes. But on the other hand, the science is one day going to catch up with us. One day, 60 years ago, they thought people that were depressed just should get out of bed and just act happy and they would be happy. You're depressed because you're lying around all the time. Now we know that it's actually chemical in the brain, and it's chemical changes everything. Start on antidepressants and you can feel much better in 6 weeks. So it's not just your attitude. And we still have that same thought process with mental health. Well, if he just tried harder to behave, if he had just tried to conform to the law, he was lazy, he was doing, this is still, we see it as an internal failing when people with mental health commit crimes. And what I'm saying is one day it's going to change, and we're going to understand that there's more of a biological chemical factor.
Yeah, well, the understanding is growing, and Sheriff Hall is saying, if not in dealing with these high-profile cases when they get to this point, and he's building this new jail right next to us, and it's going to have a whole section with beds for mental health treatment and drug treatment, but mental health treatment to maybe get them early on before they commit a murder and get them the help they need. And that's different than what you're talking about in the court of law. But if Emanuel Samson, when he had been suicidal perhaps prior, had gotten some help, or maybe this Cummins guy up in Sumner County who clearly was supposed to be seeking it and was violating his probation by not, maybe these things could be avoided. So,
Can I leave you with one thought?
Yeah, this is it, 30 seconds.
So should people that have mental disease, people that are really mentally ill, should they, if they commit an act, should they receive the same punishment as somebody who's perfectly healthy and committed that act? Or should there be some consideration given to them because they have a mental disease that's affecting their thinking process?
Something to think about. Jennifer, thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you very much.
I really do appreciate you coming on, answering questions, taking some tough ones as well, and I'm sure we will see you again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take a break. I will be back with a programming note right after this.